a young group. A lot of people counted us out early. A lot of people didn't think we would make it. But all year we've been talking about when the weapons form, not allowing them to prosper. And I think today, more than ever, we pushed through when adversity hit, and we showed people what Laurel basketball is all about.
Coach, can you just walk us through the game plan on that last play, what was said in the huddle, and what the play was, knowing that they were going to probably double or triple teams tonight?
To be completely honest with you, we drew a play up and didn't even get to run it because of how they were pressuring the ball. We've been working on situations for the past 2 or 3 months. And one of them was when you're in that situation, understanding how to be able to manipulate the defense to create successful actions. So we had a freshman that stepped up, made a huge shot. And then obviously the big dog. We talk about how prolific of a scorer she is, but the best thing that I've been preaching all year is her unselfishness and her willingness to make everybody else around her better. And I think that's what that last play was, her true nature coming out.
Jordyn, can you talk about what you saw in that play and what ended up happening?
I know Saniyah was getting trapped, and I was trying to set up in the play, and we couldn't even run it because there were so many people around her and around that area. I just had to get myself open, and we had to scratch the whole idea, and I had all the coaches yelling at me to get open, but the basket was wide open, and Saniyah got a give and tell and got where she needed to go. So it ended up having me wide open, and if it wasn't for Saniyah getting open, then it would have never happened.
So my same question to you, what did you see in that play?
So basically, I was getting trapped, and I was like 2 or 3 people coming at me, and I was like, a lot was going on, like just there was just a lot in my head. But then I seen from the left side of my vision, I seen the cut, which was a really good curve she made, and I said to her, just wide open.
Does your size play a part in that, with being able to see over a triple team?
Definitely, yeah, definitely, because the defenders that were guarding me, I think the one that was in front of me, she might have been a little bit shorter than me, so I was able to see over top of her, and then I got to see her to wide open.
So now, to open up the third quarter, we was kind of have a sluggish game in the first half. Came in the second, probably about the middle part of the third quarter, you turned it up a notch. What was going on in that moment?
I can admit that I was a bit frustrated, but like my teammates, they were helping me out. My coaches, they told me not to give up. I just decided to keep going. Although, the first part was a little sluggish, I guess you could say. I just decided to just switch the mode of my brain and just turn up.
Coach, obviously, Saniyah is great, but can you just talk about the way that the rest of the team has developed this year? You talked about just having a young group, and there was a point where it seemed like everything just started to click after that Warriors Heights game.
Warriors Heights. That was a tough one for us. We've been talking about this the past 2 years. Teams don't beat us, we beat ourselves. Whether we're young or whether we're an older group. We just make mistakes. We're not perfect. But the thing that we preach to our kids is it's not about the mistakes that you make, it's about what you do after. You gotta have that next play mentality. So we switched our practices up a bit. Actually, we switched our practices up a lot. And one of the main focuses of our practice was how to figure out how to get everybody going and how to develop everybody. There was a consensus going around that I took a little personal, to be honest, that we don't develop kids. And I laugh at it in my head, but if you have freshmen and sophomores that are constantly performing at a high level, playing one of the toughest schedules throughout any division, your kids gotta be ready. Your coaching staff has to be ready. And we just do a good job as a collective, making sure that they're prepared for every single game, every single situation. And when we got in after halftime, I asked them, I said, are you seeing anything different than what we talked about? And they said no. So I said, they gave you everything they had. You did not. So go over and show them who we are. And that's what we did.
Coach, it's easy to talk about Saniyah. It's easy to talk about Tristan, but today Jordyn was on fire. She started the game out with her hands around the ball on the first 2 possessions, and then she came out in that fourth quarter and just was lights out. Just talk about, what she meant to today's win.
It's funny because we were at shoot-around this morning, and she wasn't hitting as many shots as she'd like. And I told her, hey, you can't get frustrated. You gotta stay positive, and when your time comes, you'll be ready. Jordyn is a lights-out shooter. She's young, so sometimes her mental gets the best of her. But in the summertime, I'm not exaggerating. She probably made 23 straight in 5 or 6 different games, open gym style. So we've got the weapons, but we just got to make sure that we're continuously putting ourselves in successful situations to be successful as a team.
And Jordyn, can you tell me how it feels just to be a freshman to hit the shot to see your team to a state final?
I mean, it feels great. There's just been so much work that goes in, and it feels so amazing to have everything pay off. Like, there's been so many hard practices. There's been times where, like, you just want to give up and you just feel like you can't do it anymore. But if you bring your teammates along with you and the team and you all are going through it together, then you can't stop. Like, this is a team effort and everyone's in it and everyone's, if you're not doing it for them, you do it, or if you're not doing it for yourself, you do it for them. And I think that's something that's really important to keep.
Okay, up front here. Folks, we have a microphone, so if you have questions, we'll get it back to you.
Can you just talk? I thought, speaking of people who played great today, I thought Chloe Johnson and Maya Edwards both had phenomenal games. Can you just talk about them and what they meant to this?
Chloe Johnson is untapped potential waiting to be awoken. She is the epitome of, I'm gonna show up when you need me. We go back and forth in practice a lot just because she doesn't fully understand what she's capable of. And when she fully understands it, you guys are gonna be seeing and hearing a lot more about Chloe Johnson. And the scary part is, her brother's 6'10", her dad's 6'9", and her mom is 6'2". They're late bloomers. She's supposed to hit 6'2", 6'3" this summer. So, God bless them all.
Coach, it felt like somewhere there around the middle of the third quarter, your transition defense finally showed up. What was different? Was there a message from either you or one of the players that got that transition defense back to where it needed to be? Because it felt like the first couple of quarters, you guys were a little bit slower getting back on defense.
To be honest, I don't think it was that our transition defense was lacking. I think the frustration part of the fact that we couldn't make shots or that we were getting fouled and they thought they weren't calling it. So it took away from the other parts of the game that we can control. We've been talking for probably about 3-4 years about controlling what we can control. And if we do that consistently, everything else will take care of itself. I mean, the spark in the third quarter purely came from our defense, whether it was full court man, half court man, transition. So those are things that we know we do well. Those are things that we understand that got us here. And those are things that we understand we can't stop.
The last time I talked to you guys, all 3 of you, I basically said, the road to get here was going to be tough. Today was a tough game. Just what was said, if anything, about slowing down, the 3-point shot, getting Saniyah, just to get her going. Like, what was the message to kind of get a fire under the team early when when Proctorville started to come back on you guys?
Discipline, for one. For 2, fight the frustration. I watch a ton of film. Fairland is a very formidable team. They are very great defensively, but their main focus is to frustrate you and to pressure you. So once you get past that whole level of things, you can see the game differently. Obviously, our strength of schedule has been hard. There were times where our young group didn't understand it, but I'm sure as they look back at it now, they understand that was put in place to prepare us for these moments. I mean, I think probably every team that we've played is either playing in the Final Four, lost in the regional championship, or is still fighting in some other state. So preparation is the key to success. That's what I was taught as a child. So I try to do everything in my power to make sure my kids are set up for success and prepared as much as they can be.